Guys, this is Brian from Brian's Tech Therapy. Today we have a very, very special guest, owner, founder of Value Electronics, and more importantly, for the context of this video, the owner and founder of the Value Electronics TV Shootout, Mr. Robert Zohn. Robert, how are you?
Thank you. All is wonderful, and so happy again to be with you today and all the people that are watching. Thank you.
Awesome, Robert. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know it is Sunday. You are actually still at work. I really appreciate it. You have your busiest week due to the 2022 TV Shootout. Tell me a little bit about it, what we can expect from the Shootout, please.
Well, thank you. Technically, this is our 19th year, but we skipped 1 year, 2020, because of COVID. So really, this is our 18th TV Shootouts. We started in 2004, publicly doing the TV Shootout. I did it for a few years before that, just for my own interest as to what are the differences between the TVs and who is the best TV for overall picture quality. So this has been going on for 25 years, but
Wow.
18 years for the public to see what I do.
And were you doing that in store initially, Robert, when you first started doing them?
This was a real grassroots movement, and we did it in the store for, I guess, the first probably 14 of the 18 years.
Wow. So you were basically in when HD first started.
Oh,
you
yeah.
were looking at that.
That's
So I know,
correct.
so we're definitely going to do a separate interview for everyone at one point to talk about your favorite panels of all time. I'd love to hear the winners from when you first started.
Yeah.
I know the last number of years, I was part of last year's. We missed the year before, obviously. And bravo that you were able to pull off an amazing show last year, which we did fully masked, which was actually a fantastic show. How did you come up with that format, Robert? Like, what was your thought process when you first started putting it together?
Well, prior to starting Value Electronics, which is now 25 years ago, I was a TV broadcast engineer, and I worked with the test engineers for years on designing and developing ways to evaluate broadcast cameras and monitors. And we would evaluate them and break them down into the elements. And I was working with very serious video engineers in TV broadcast and in Hollywood, and for evaluating cameras and display monitors, and to make sure that they were all calibrated correctly together to display exactly what the camera captured in real life. And so a lot of the basics of what we do came from my experience of setting up evaluations of critical testing for video. And what we do is we look at the four basic parameters of picture quality: contrast, meaning peak and minimum luminance; color accuracy, we call it color fidelity; we look at color saturation; we look at the color volume all the way up to 100%; we look at motion resolution. So we break down all these elements with great detail. We do a very deep dive with test patterns, and then we run content that exploits the test patterns. So if we're doing motion resolution, we might put up football or ice hockey.
Yeah.
Or we have a girl that swings on a swing.
Yeah, all the challenging stuff.
Yeah, all the hard to do things that a TV has struggles with. So we can first show it in test patterns, which will even make it look, exaggerated to how bad it is. And then we can show it in content to show what it really looks like. So once you get trained on that, you get to easily pick out where the issues are. And we test for anomalies of compression artifacts. So this is a very deep dive. We even look at glare and reflection and off-angle viewing. So we get into a lot of, we test the input lag time so gamers can get a feeling for, who's the best for input lag.
Well, I imagine this year will be probably your most interesting, having mini LED, QD-OLED, WRGB OLEDs.
Yes.
You have a litany of different manufacturers bringing different beasts to the race.
Yes.
So I think it'll be more interesting than ever. I was blown away last year by both the 4K and 8K. Just tell me how you're breaking it down this year. What day is which? What are people going to see when they tune in?
So this coming Saturday, July 30th, starting at 9 a.m. in the morning, we're going to to start our 4K HDR TV shootout for 2022. There will be 5 TVs in the competition this year. They will be butt up against each other as we do every year. They will touch each other. They will be on the same exact center line. So if one TV is a little bigger or a little smaller or has a different bezel, the center line will be exactly the same.
Yeah.
And we will view them in high ambient light, in low ambient light. We will view them pre and post calibration. We will view all and carefully examine and evaluate all picture quality elements and attributes. We have a panel of 10 very professional video experts that'll be voting on all of the elements of picture quality that we'll be presenting. We have Caleb Dennison of Digital Trends as our master of ceremonies, who will be running the event for us this year.
Yep.
And monitoring it. And we have Jason Dustel from Meridio, the chief technology officer, the top training executive for Joel Silver at ISF Level 3 training.
Which moves us right into calibration, Robert. Explain to me the calibrators we'll have there.
So Jason Dustel is calibrating with us this year, along with Wayne Davis, a.k.a. D-Nice. People know him as D-Nice, a celebrity famous calibrator, and John Rifamato, who worked with us for decades, calibrating TVs with us as well, and working the TV shootout for decades as well. So he'll be coming in from Florida. Dwayne comes in from his distant location. I think Jason is California, I believe.
Yeah, he's all over the place too. All amazing guys, very knowledgeable.
Yes.
I'm definitely gonna get down there this week, guys, and I'll bring you some of the behind the scenes of these guys. I know last year we shot a bit of the tools that they use. Calibration equipment is very formidable and expensive.
Amazing what we're doing.
And now, Robert, off the top of your head, what are the contenders this year in the 4K lineup?
So in the 4K lineup, we have from Sony 3 televisions. We're going to have the S95. All TVs will be 65-inch class. We'll have the S95B, the new Master Series Quantum Dot OLED.
Oh, the A95B.
A95B.
Yeah, A95K, I'm sorry. Yep.
A95K.
Yep.
S95B will also be there, another Quantum Dot OLED TV for 2022, using the same Samsung Display QD-OLED panel, and that'll be Samsung's S95B. And we're going to put it right next to the Sony A95K.
Yep.
Next to that is going to be LG's G2 flagship 4K Gallery Series television. Then in the middle, we're going to have the master monitor, the professional grading monitor, the BVM, I think it's an X310, which is a dual cell, actually.
Yep.
Very interesting master monitor.
Yeah, $30,000.
I think it's 40 or 45.
Oh,
but
is it really? Okay. I know I packed it up last year and I was nervous as heck putting it back in the box.
Well, we have it again this year. We're good again this year with that.
Awesome.
We also will have, for the mini LED on the right side, we're going to be putting the X95K from Sony, mini LED with the backlight master drive.
Yep.
Also going to have Samsung's mini LED as well with their, this is going to be unusual, the QN95B, which is the new flagship that only recently got introduced here in the US.
Yeah, we just featured it 2 videos ago.
Yes, good. That's a good one.
Yep.
And we're loving all these TVs. These are crazy, gorgeous TVs.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm so enjoying just walking around, looking at all of them.
But I love that we're seeing, so I guess from the top of the bottom, we have LG G2. Yes. They only have an OLED in this shootout this year. Sony has the X95K, which is their 4K backlight master drive mini LED. A95K QD OLED.
Yes.
And then Samsung is bringing the QN95B as well as the S95.
Right. And just to be clear, because of the words you used, the only one who brings any TVs is Value Electronics.
Oh, Value. But I guess as far as from the exactly. There's no manufacturers providing displays. I guess because people will always ask if LG would bring their LED lineup, but this year it will only be OLEDs from them.
You know, I'm very sorry that they're not ready yet with the QNED 90 and the 8K QNED 99.
Yeah, because a lot of potential.
They would have been included.
Yep.
And you and I will be reviewing them when they come out, and we'll put them next to the winner and next to a few others, and
Yeah.
we'll do our own little comparison shootout, so to
Yeah.
speak.
I know, and I know we tried doing that last year.
Yeah,
But maybe next year, because I think having the different technologies now, having WRGB OLEDs versus
yeah,
QD-OLEDs versus mini
yes,
LED is very interesting.
it
Speak to me
is.
a little bit about the 8K shootout, Robert.
Thank you. So that's day two, which is Sunday this coming week, July 31st, starting at 10 a.m. And it's in the same facility, which is gorgeous, by the way. We have a
Yep.
luxury New York City facility. That will be all 85-inch and 88-inch class televisions, because I think it was more important to do the larger screen sizes when we're evaluating 8K
Absolutely.
televisions. And that's going to be the Z2 88-inch 8K OLED from LG.
Which we just featured a couple days ago.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We have Samsung's very beautiful QN900B mini LED 8K, gorgeous TV as well. And then we have Sony's new Master Series, which is the Z9K.
9K. Yep.
Thank you. And that has the backlight master drive, and it's also a Master Series.
Yep.
And these are the three TVs in the 8K shootout.
Yep. I think what'll be interesting watching in the 8K shootout, Robert, is I know last year we wanted to have all 85,
Yeah.
but we will have the 80 plus this year. And I think
Yeah.
it'll be very interesting seeing Sony's first foray into mini LED go against Samsung's second
Yes.
8K, because you have Samsung refining it, and then you have the
That's right.
backlight master drive. I can tell you, spending time with every panel that we've discussed, the Sony has an incredible lineup this year. Samsung also incredible lineup. The Z2 is phenomenal, and I know you and I get some flack as that we always hear how amazing things are, but my response to that is I'm only really looking at the top group. And for all you guys out there, I mean, Hisense was in the shootout last year.
Yes.
So if manufacturers reach a certain level,
That's
we would
correct.
include them. And I know a lot of people bring up Panasonic as well.
Yes.
And I know you, Robert, you have a great relationship with Panasonic.
Yes, indeed.
They've been in the shootout in the past. So can you just tell me just a few of the winners that you've seen? Because we hear a lot of Sony winning the last number. I think we have A90J last year,
Yes.
A9G, I believe, the year before.
Yeah.
Just give me a little bit about the past winners, if you
Well,
can.
in the 18 years that we've published the event, Sony has actually won 3 years of those 18. So
Oh, wow.
they've won less than most other companies.
Yeah, so I think the thought is that Sony is.
Yeah.
It's
It's
because we.
just that they won the last 3, and that's what people
Yeah.
remember. And when we say they won, it was a very close call.
Yeah.
They won by a very small margin,
Yep.
and were a lot more similar to some of the other TVs than different, but they were better.
Yep.
And the panel of video experts vote. So it's all out of my hands. Whatever it is. We tally up the votes at the end.
Yep.
But Sony won 3 years in a row. LG won 6 years. Samsung won 2 years. Panasonic has won several years. Pioneer has won several years.
Yeah.
Sharp won 1 year. Actually, the only year an LCD ever won was the year that Sharp took it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, one time only an LCD won.
Oh, excellent. Very, very cool.
Sharp's, what they called the Elite television.
Yep. Yeah. See, I think people need to kind of, and we'll discuss that in a separate interview. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Pioneer Kiro Elites and all those from back in the day. We'll cover that. But yeah, Sony, I think they're processing their approach lately,
That's
and
what
I will say on camera too that for a lot of you guys, Sony has now become even more recommended because they have stepped up with the VRR. I know Robert was most definitely in the ear of the engineers on that
as well.
Yeah, I mean, we put some pressure, and it'll be nice to, and for me, a pleasure to talk to the engineers from these manufacturers. And it's going to be so nice to not bring up VRR this year to them. But I want to say thank you for kind of helping make that happen, because it was always tough to look at these amazing panels and say, well, for gaming. But now that the X95, even last year's panels are excellent for gaming. So it's been, in your opinion, it's been an excellent year between last year and this year.
Yeah. And speaking about, you're speaking with the engineers who all always talk about you and love you, by the way.
Yeah, they're great guys. I mean, they're amazing.
Time. Well, you're brought up quite frequently in
Very
our.
cool. Well, I think when people ask about professional TV people, I'm simply a YouTuber influencer. To me, a lot of professional people are like yourself, and then the people, the men and women that build the panels,
They're the best, huh?
that's who I want to talk to. I want to
Yeah,
talk to,
yeah,
so I think it's fascinating. So for me, it's a treat. And I know some of the judges, you have filmmakers. Last year we had people from HBO,
yes,
Netflix. So
yes,
it's very, very exciting. I'm so glad that it's growing, the way that it is.
yeah.
And it's really world renowned,
Thank you.
and
Yes,
it's
yes,
really important that what it is you're doing. Now I know we're going to be tuning in. Shane on Spare Change will
yes.
be running the stream. And you were saying, Robert, does it start at 9, or when is the
It
actual event
does start
begin?
at 9. We're going to be serving, like a breakfast hors d'oeuvre, some light food, and of course all the beverages. And then I'll be making my opening remarks while everybody's having their little breakfast. Uh,
Excellent.
in this conference room we have set up, we rented the entire seventh floor of a luxury building in New York
Yep.
City. So nobody is on that floor but us. I'm sorry that we're not open to the public. So it's YouTubers, YouTube channel owners, the presenters, a little bit of the staff that helps me set up and break down,
Yep.
and the judges. So I think there'll be close to 50 people. And it's a city block square floor we have. We have a beautiful, gorgeous luxury restaurant. We have a city block long outdoor balcony where we have cocktails and
Yeah, I can't wait.
snacks, and regarding some of the special engineers that are arriving here from the three primary brands, Samsung Display, not Samsung Electronics, is sending two of their very highest engineers that are the developers of quantum dot OLED. So I believe it's the chief engineer that invented quantum dot OLED
Oh my
that
God.
is attending in person, along with a couple of other staff engineers that are the development engineers for QD Display. And as you may know, Samsung Display has closed or is closing all of their LCD plants, all mini LED, all backlit LED, all edge lit LED,
Yeah.
and they're converting everything to quantum dot OLED, all
And,
production from all facilities.
and I would say I wouldn't agree with that until I laid my eyes on the S95,
That's
and
right.
then even the A95, which we
Yeah.
just featured in a video. I'll link all those videos. Really blown away. We thought that OLEDs were going to hit a wall at some point. And then I know LG has more plans next year. So it'll be, the better the competition, the more we move forward and we
Yes.
see better technology. But to me, meeting those engineers and just hearing how they wrap their minds around it is, I rather talk to them all day than any famous person any day.
Thank you. Well, to me, they are the most famous.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
the people that create the technology and
Definitely.
design and engineer and build it. And then from LG, we have their top guys flying in from South Korea as well.
Yep.
And we have all the US, several of the US top executives coming.
Yeah.
And same thing from Sony as well.
Oh, because
You're,
last year we weren't able to get those guys because the travel was down. Okay.
yeah, no, they're coming
Awesome.
now. So you'll meet a lot of new of these, and we're not talking about just engineers. We're talking about the top development engineers that have come up with the idea and the concept and built it into a product. So this is very serious event.
Well, and I think when we're sitting there watching the judges, I know I felt this last year. It was a little tangible when you can tell that they're back
Yeah,
there watching their TVs
yeah,
compete, especially having, I think, well, so last year we had the Master Series, we had the
yeah,
G1,
yes,
so we had, I think it was the QN90A last year, but I do think having a more refined QN95, a master drive, it's almost like having, there's more clout to every panel being there.
that's right.
QD-OLED going against the top of the line, WRGB, and then the Z2, which we know has some special processing going on in the 8K,
Yeah,
and then the Z9. So, I mean, I know you were a big part of getting the backlight master drive
I
there.
I have to take some
Yeah.
guilt for that. Yes,
And I'm looking very forward personally to see the 65-inch compete. The 65-inch I thought was unfairly beat
yeah,
up this year. Kind of a problem we had in this industry.
yeah,
And it's absolutely amazing. So I can't wait to see it compete at that size. And I think that size is the sweet spot right now, and for
Mhm.
8K content. Now, I think this year, Robert, are we doing a head-to-head 4K versus 8K at the end of the
We
show?
will. We will.
Okay, because
We'll
we weren't
take the
able to do it.
winner. We'll take the new king of 4K TV, which is our trademark name as well,
Yep.
registered, and we're going to put it butt next to the king of 8K, and we're going to play the same low resolution and high resolution content up to 4K, and then we're going to play native 8K dumbed down to 4K for the 4K winner, and we're going to put the TVs butt next to each other, and we're going to see what is the difference. What can you see with an 8K resolution? Remember, it's not just about resolution, but all those 400% more pixels give you more contrast, more color, more depth, more luminance. So there's a lot of benefit. Forget resolution. It's about
Yeah.
having more pixels on the screen.
Well, and it's got, I think we've talked about even with QD-OLED, we got very lost in peak brightness versus color.
Yeah,
And the
good.
narrative always changes. And now I know I'm not going to ask you to make a prediction. I will, because I think I can make one. To me, I feel I thought the ZX ran away with it last year in the 8K category. I think the Z2, which is an improvement, has got much stiffer competition from both Samsung and the Z9K
would
this year,
agree. I would
because the
agree.
specular highlights on both of those are ridiculous.
Yes.
Me being an LED lover at heart,
Yeah.
um,
Thank
and
you.
I just think QD OLED is a game changer. So for
Yes.
me,
Thank you. And it is. You bet.
that's what I'm looking at.
That kind of leads me into you and I have this excitement, like little kids in a candy store, and enthusiasm. And
Absolutely.
it's very rare, but I have read people say, "Oh, you love all the TVs." Well, you know what? We do love all the we're premium TV lovers, and we
Yeah.
appreciate the performance of high-end video televisions and high-end audio.
Yeah.
And yes, we get excited about it. This is a hobby of ours.
Of course.
Yes, we do. We get excited, and we speak that way because I
Yeah.
can't hold my emotions back.
Of course.
And it's been another very big upgrade year again. Whoever expected
Yeah.
two big up? Usually we get nice, moderate, incremental improvements, and
Yep.
that makes me excited. But
Yeah.
2021 and 2022 were the biggest improvements we've seen in decades.
Well, again, I wish people could see us more off camera. They watch very short videos of
Right.
you presenting and me filming. If they could really see the few hours that you and I sit there and really geek out,
Yeah.
I can tell you it's not sales speak. We do get giddy over it, and like I said, even the A95K I saw the other day blew my mind. The S95, the first time I saw that, the Z2. It's really, really amazing. So yeah, we geek out, and as I mentioned, other manufacturers would be there once they get to that level.
That's correct.
As you mentioned, Sharp has been in it. Panasonic, which isn't really here anymore, but it's
Yeah.
not like we're keeping those brands away. If there is a time when they reach that level, they'll be there.
Yeah, we've had Vizio for a couple of years in the event where they built a
Yep.
Master Series TV.
Yep.
We've had Hisense, as you brought out.
Hmm.
I personally reached out to Hisense and TCL
Yep.
to try to evaluate, to get their samples and evaluate them to see if they can participate, because I thought they should be in the event.
Yeah.
Hisense is not ready, and TCL wants to do business with Costco, and
Yeah. Yeah.
like
They want to make that money, of course.
they didn't want to do it, and
Yeah. But it's
you
so important. It's very
me-
important for us to hear that, though, Robert. To be
yeah, thank
honest.
you. And to me, I treat the TV Shootout as a completely separate entity from my company, Value Electronics.
Hmm.
Whatever is only good for the event is all I focus on, which is
Yeah.
why I would invite a TCL, even though I
Yeah.
don't sell their products,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
equally compete. And it's why I'm also hands off on anything to do with any of the decision making on, other than choosing the products
Yep.
that'll participate. And even that's done in a group with Dwayne Davis, and we used to use Tyler Pruitt quite a bit,
Yep.
and Jason Dustle and John Rifamato, and even yourself. You help us too.
Yep.
So it's totally transparent the way we operate, and everything's way up and above board. And I run this event like a government science experiment.
Oh yeah.
Everything is the very finest, state of the art that it can be. Every cable is the best cable you can buy, and we individually test each one to make sure there's no defect. Every
Yeah.
cable is the same length. Even if we only need a 6-foot cable here and a 15
Yeah.
foot there, they're all 15-foot.
And it is funny. I wish I would show it that actually these cables, these HDMI cables that we're always unplugging are so thick.
Yeah,
Everything feels very expensive. But also I think that's why getting you on Sunday,
right.
I wanted to get you today because I know it's going to be hands off for you basically all week. I mean, I'll be in the store shooting here and there, but you're going to be so swamped. I try to sneak in and grab you today because I know it's going to be busy.
Yes, thank you.
And
You
you have the
know,
business to run on top of that.
it's funny that the TV shootout for me, the evaluation and the planning of it starts seriously right after CES in January, when I go and I see all the new TVs and I'm selecting which one and what's different about them and talking to the engineers. It's that process that starts me working on the TV shootout that doesn't happen until the summer or fall.
Yeah.
It's a long preparation, and it's amazing. I don't want to get into what this is, but the amount of work and the amount of money that goes into producing this event is insane.
Well, and just the stress that we or you experienced a few
I know.
weeks ago with moving the shootout.
Yeah,
With we expected Sony products to be here sooner and things not that's moving hotels, that's guests, that's
yeah,
the venue. I mean that
yeah.
and that's even harder to do now than ever. A place does not want to move their venue. So a lot of respect, and I'm so happy to be. I'm happy personally as a fan to be part of it, and I'll be shooting again videos of us even packing the TVs up, some of them
That's
moving them around, and I'll be bringing that content to you guys. I want to show you guys the calibrators, if they'll let me shoot over their shoulders, see the equipment. But
Mhm.
it's and many of you that are into calibration, we have three of the very best out here
We do.
calibrating these panels. Is there anything that you want to add, Robert, before I let you go? We got 26 minutes in.
Oh, very good. So, very quickly, we've designed the voting ballot for a lot of purposes.
Hmm.
Most importantly, is to carefully evaluate actually, all of the elements and attributes of picture quality. But we also designed it in a way for anybody who's looking for a premium TV that has a use case that's different than low ambient light, dark room, calibrated. You want to be in a sunroom or a bright room where you work at night and you're home a lot in the day. So you can, if you have a budget in mind, cross off all the ones that don't match your budget, cross off all the ones that perform best in low ambient light but not best in high ambient light, and use the ballot to find the best TV that matches your use case and your budget. So you don't have to pick the winner. The winner
Yeah,
for you is a different winner than the
yeah.
winner of the event.
Which is great because in years past, I've seen stores have that sticker. The
Yes,
value was it. I think Best Buy may have had it, whether they were allowed to or not. But
yes.
winner A9G. So now you're saying will be a more thorough buyer's guide in a way for them to be able to see what the
Well, we
other ones
always
are.
we always did that, but I probably never explained it well enough of how
Oh,
to use
okay.
the ballot. And that's why I wanted to just gloss over it. In my opening remarks, I'll be giving a better orientation of how everybody uses this ballot for their use and their applications and their budgets.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very
really, really
cool.
well. So this has become world famous. I remember Joel Silver, one of the best left-handed compliments I ever got. We've hired all the top people, and Joel ran the event for me several years as well. Joel Silver, the founder and the owner of ISF, Imaging Science Foundation. And one day he stands up in front of the crowd and he says, "Robert, my hat's off to you. Amazing event that you've created yourself with your own ideas. And I'm so proud of you for knowing that this event is so much bigger than you are."
Yeah, yeah. It takes a lot to say. Oh, thanks. I'll be like, wait a second. Well, Robert, in wrap up, I want to just reiterate again, thank you from me and all of us in this community for your knowledge. And I guess seeing you on the channel is something everybody loves. They love seeing you introduce the panels. And thank you for also, even from me here, clarifying. Even though Sony has won the last few, there's been
That's
very
right.
few times that they've won. I
That's
really personally did not know that Vizio had been in the shootout,
yes.
that you reached out to TCL and both Hisense. So
Yes.
just to know that we're not favoring one manufacturer over the other. Those that are there are there. And I know that we had the Panasonic panel that you had got Panasonic to send you last year, the movie monitor. So I mean, whenever they're ready to come back, I'm sure they'll be ready with you'll be ready with open arms. But there is no bias here. There is no favoring. It just happens to be these are the top three manufacturers at this time.
Yes, thank you. And I never stop asking the executives at Panasonic to let me bring back, like we had before. We were the exclusive Panasonic OLED dealer of the Hollywood designed ones.
It was incredible.
We had that for a little over a year,
Yep.
and we had it exclusively for the consumer industry. And there was only one other dealer who had it for the broadcast and Hollywood studios. So there was only two sellers in the U.S., and we were lucky enough to have that. We have a great relationship with Panasonic.
Yeah, let's hope they make a comeback because I know they make amazing products. But so I'm gonna finish with I'm gonna give it to me what my prediction is.
Sure.
I'm not gonna put that on you. I do predict that the Sony A95K is gonna win the 4K shootout. I think the refinement of the QD OLED is just their processor, what they've done with that panel, the heat sink. And then the Z2 to me very closely is the 8K winner. And I'm going to go out on a limb and think that the A95 may win the overall. I won't put you on the spot to make a prediction, but and I'll tell you that when we say everything is amazing, it's incredible how close these panels are.
Yeah.
And what you've alluded to many times is once they're calibrated correctly, it becomes even harder to discern them. So I think that'll be very interesting this year.
And we will be showing them pre and post calibration
Yep.
in high and low ambient light.
Yep.
So you'll get a good feeling for who's the best out of the box in the best picture mode, who's the best after calibration.
Yeah, which gives the mini LEDs a point they can run wild and kind of
Yes.
show their strengths. But I think we don't have any weaknesses this year as far as from both Sony and Samsung in
No.
the mini LEDs.
Mhm.
So it's for me, it's the most, and I'm so glad there's more competitors in this. And I know that, and just to clear up, these are only the flagship panels, which is
That
why
is
for
correct.
everybody,
That's all we do is
yeah,
actually I made an exception this year. I took the X95K with the backlight master drive and I included it. It is Sony's flagship mini LED.
yes, yep,
And that helped me rationalize my
yep,
decision.
I know,
It's
yeah, and
their
that's
flagship model, but it is their flagship 4K mini LED.
yeah, well, and to give
Backlight master drive too.
and to give the viewers a behind the scenes
I wanted
when
to do that. Thank you.
yeah, so when the X95 was kind of being smacked around, it would have been it would have been very easy for us as a community to just say, well, let's leave it out. Only include the 85, which wouldn't
Right.
be in the 8K lineup.
Right.
But you were adamant
Yeah.
with it being part of the shootout. So kind of proving this is what I see. This is what I think is out there. Maybe there's defective panels out there, but and I remember us speaking, look at the confidence. I want it to be there.
Yes.
That it is that is the flagship, the A90J being last year's flagship, kind of master series,
Yes.
this year. Now, Robert, the A95K is considered a master series flagship QD-OLED, but they're separate. So we have three master series in a way,
That's correct. That's correct.
but
Well,
it's just, but
there's actually two. We have the Z9K Master Series and the A95K.
that's right. The X95 is a master series.
It's a backlight master drive on the X95,
Yep.
and it's the flagship TV. And
Yep.
It's stunning.
Yep.
Now, there is some truth, though, to the 85-inch actually performing slightly better when it comes to blooming. So that is true.
Yep. Well, we have zone counts we're aware of when it comes to, and I think that's where LEDs, it does matter size wise,
Yes,
who's reviewing what size. But also, what did I want to add? Because I know we've had great TVs with the A80K, the C2. I know a lot of you guys want to see your TV compete, but it would be endless in that regard. And even doing only flagships, we have a lot of competitors.
Yeah. Plus, we're going to be doing that, you and I, in our showroom or in your new studio.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing is once the shootout is done, guys, we're going to be doing many more intimate comparisons. I know we have the G, we have a big surprise with LG later in the year, a larger G2. We have a lot of these panels coming that we'll be able to more critically put next to each other. We'll do that in the studio and in the store. So the TV is not done for us by a I mean, it's done for many people about what's coming up, but now the real work actually begins.
That's right. Very good. And I got to tell you, things like the A80K and the C2 made great upgrades this year as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're looking really good. And I do love Samsung's lineup as well. So this is another good year. Even when you step down, you're getting a premium product this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I would say too, the pricing is actually pretty, and I
Very,
know people and I
very.
know people are talking a lot about the QD OLEDs being expensive.
Mhm.
For me, I predicted those to be like $9,000
Yeah.
at 65 inches. So I'm actually surprised that they are affordable. I know the A95K being more expensive than the S95B. I try to
Mhm.
explain to people that one, the S95B came out 3 or 4 months ago.
Yep.
It's had several price drops. The A95K is premium. It's thick. It's got a heat sink, better sound. It has the Bravia camera included.
Yep.
So these things do add up to being about the same price, considering it's
Yes.
also a new model. But we can talk about that in another video. But Robert, thank you so much for having me at the shootout, as well as the rest of us.
Very good.
We can catch it on Spare Change on Saturday and Sunday. Robert, thank you as always for your time and your generosity and hospitality.
And thank you so very much again for including me in so many of your great videos. Thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure.
Very good. We'll see you very soon.
See you in a couple days.
You bet.
Take care.